And we're back at the GCNC booth at CMB. And this man probably needs no introduction. Look at those luscious locks, a shirt that can only be rivaled by my shirt. It's John Shute, the CEO and founder, John Shute MBA.
On LinkedIn.
On
Some
LinkedIn.
people
Only for LinkedIn. It's not
That's
real.
it, not real.
Anyway, John Shute, PufCreativ, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dave. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you. So tell me, you're doing some speaking stuff here.
Yeah.
What are you on the panel about? You had a workshop yesterday with my other friend David Palashuk about branding. Tell us what are you up to here?
Oh, I mean, I am here to speak on panels. I am here to encourage people to refocus how they approach their cannabis businesses from an operational standpoint, leadership standpoint, but also remind people what they're in it for, and that is to make the world a better place. And that's why I joined the Global Cannabis Network, because uniquely enough,
I'm trying to do that clicky thing, when I can't do it, doesn't work.
Me neither. I can't click.
I'm not.
But I think that we all need to remind each other that as we kind of go through the day-to-day motions and ups and downs of the cannabis industry. And I think right now we're in New York City. I grew up in New Jersey. Never thought that.
New Jersey?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you're into surfing and stuff. There's no surf in New Jersey.
There is in the winter time. Yeah, it's really good.
Winter.
It's unbelievable.
Like sliding on the ice.
Yeah, with full wetsuit, Vaseline face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I disrupted your flow there. But
no. But there's an opportunity to make a difference in the world. Just the fact that we're in New York City at a cannabis conference, having this podcast, and I was just with Dave in Berlin.
Kebabs of Berlin.
The state of the world, the state of the United States. I feel that cannabis could be a real benefit to people, and a lot of my panels, even though I'm spitting education about branding and marketing and strategy and being a smart business owner, I think it's just as important to remind people why we're here and who we're in it for, which is consumers.
Exactly. And I think, again, it's just good to compare notes. This is what I've been saying to a few different people. The more we know about how it operates in one market, and it doesn't give us the complete oversight, but we start to piece together a picture of what cannabis legalization and access looks like across the world. And I think understanding that as we move into new markets, as someone like yourself, operating with brands that are moving into those markets, it's important to understand what's possible and what isn't. And I think cannabis as an industry is always good at finding a way around things.
That's for sure. Yeah, and I think people's perception of cannabis, whether you're even a business owner in it or a consumer out there, is quite interesting
from the industry.
And I think that there still needs to be a ton done at a policy level, at a social justice level, and at an education level for consumers and even folks entering the industry. And that's what I'm all about. And our panel yesterday was really kind of emphasizing the point of, if you really want to make it in this industry and be a long-term business and actually be profitable and make change because you're able to sustain your business, you really need to think about the little things in the beginning, knowing exactly what type of market you're getting into, the competitive landscape, how you're going to actually get quality products out to consumers. What defines quality, which in my opinion is safe access to different forms of cannabis that people can trust and know it's going to be safe for their bodies. And so what I do, and what Dave does, is help people kind of tell that message and that story, and really kind of map out what the future of their business can look like. Because if you're not thinking about all the little things early on, even just fundraising and basic, like what are going to be my pillars to build community in the market I'm launching in. These 101 things are just so important when it comes to getting investment, differentiating yourself from competitors, making it through a price compression that you experience in every market. So,
So that MBA came in handy.
I guess,
but having a complete business oversight, again, it's not like in other industries we can kind of focus on your own bit in marketing. Like, I do this. Yes, you do, but you need to have a broader perspective on, because it is, I just feel like the odds are, it's like kind of Hunger Games, isn't it? The odds are not in your favor, really.
Yeah.
Stacks up. We're looking at an industry that has been, vilified for 100 years, and we're trying to unpick that. And that doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't, and that's a really good point. Cannabis and most alternative medicine, for plant medicine, that better way to say it, it's pretty sacred. It's been around for a long, long time, and people have been using it in many different medicinal, scientific, therapeutic ways. And when you take something that I would say is kind of a sacred thing, whether it be cannabis, psychedelics, hemp, whatever type of plant medicine you're doing, and you combine that with politics and finance and money and greed, it becomes a pretty interesting landscape for people to navigate. And so, I've got a lot of respect for a lot of people I see here right now, because I've been in it for about 10 years, and
10 years, wow.
recognizing just a lot of different people who have kind of been through the ups and downs, and it's a wild ride. And that's why I say, based off my personal experience as a business owner in the industry, and also just based off my experience of working with, thousands of business owners at this point, a lot of the 101 basics kind of go out the door. And I'm a marketer and brander and strategist, but I actually spend more time picking apart and giving advice on other problems that I actually don't even do, because that's usually something that's wrong. And a big hot topic right now is that as a retailer specifically, and even as brands, because it's a problem for them, is inventory management. I can show someone, hey, we did your branding and website, it looks great, and we're tracking your revenue on the SEO and advertising side.
Well, do you know a good cannabis ERP system kind of questions? And I suppose that just becomes, well, actually, for you've done that bit, it's almost that other bit. So you have that sort of business oversight that you can again add more value to what you're offering, right?
It is, and the problem is I really value my partnerships to help solve inventory problems, other things, but I have to spend a lot of time explaining these things to people that I know actually don't even do, and finding those problems just so I can, for example, like we had a client, I showed them a 30 times ROI on their investment, and they still were considering dropping our service because they were losing so much money on their inventory management. They were overstocked on products they didn't sell, and then they were running out of products that they were running specials on and pushing on their marketing. So now you're wasting money on the shelf, then you have to discount that product, and now customers expect a discount. Then the products you're pushing aren't populating on the site. Someone clicks into your competitor's site, and now they're signed up for their loyalty program, and you lost that customer. And so it's way cheaper to retain a customer and make them happy than acquire a new one. So we try to fix these other problems as fast as we can, but because we're just sometimes plugged into marketing, it's hard to identify it until we have more insight into
it's all still part of marketing, isn't it? Really, because marketing is doing whatever. I mean, again, depending on what your definition of marketing. So what is your definition of marketing?
That's a tough one.
Because everyone will say colouring in squad, and I'll be like, okay, colouring in squad. Is that all we are to you?
I look at it in kind of, I would say at least for my business, I look at it in 4 different funnels, or really 2. I think that there's a very creative side to marketing and branding that you really need to hit on the head. And then I think there's a performance side to it. And the real people who are winning in terms of performance and seeing success are the ones that are doing both of those things right. So for us, we track a lot of revenue on the performance side. And when we actually go in and we conduct an actual formal branding process or a formal website process, when you look at the performance of those brands or retailers after the fact, you see increases 16, 20, 30, sometimes even 50% in conversion rates in the first 30 days. And it's not, and people don't realize if they take that time and make that initial investment into creative and called out process, it pays off.
But absolutely. And again, it's like there's no point doing branding unless you have the insight to actually tell you how to articulate what the branding is going to be, because what the market wants. And then there's no point, you can't judge on performance unless you have that insight. So you get to get that data, you've got to get that. It informs everything. But no, thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah,
and
you.
He has an MBA, and he just proved that it stuck. So
yes.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Guys.
See ya. Woo!